It was years ago, I'm talking 4 years ago, and I still can't come to grips with whether my ex-husband actually cheated, or if I hit the abort button too fast. So, I was married for about 3 years before falling pregnant. My husband was in the army. We met online and dated long distance for 9 months before we chose to marry and move in together. Typical short get to know each other period for military couples. I actually moved out of my home state to join him where he was stationed. We had a nice home. We had a bit of a rocky relationship, but for the most part we had fun together, and we were sexually compatible. Jealousy was a major theme in the relationship. He had many female friends. I had very little male friends. Nearly all of his female friends disliked me from the start. I had no idea why, and let assumptions get the best of me and took out my newfound insecurities on him. Nevertheless, we didn't let it define our relationship. I mostly hit the block button and just let him have his friendships while I had mine. So he was eventually deployed, and 2 weeks after he left, I had a positive pregnancy test. This wasn't unexpected. We had been trying. We were both happy. He came back 8 months later, and then we received orders that we were being moved to another state, one completely across the country from my hometown, which I had stayed relatively close enough to even though I left the state. I felt secure enough to go. I was married and pregnant, after all. So we moved when I was 38 weeks pregnant. I gave birth 3 weeks after we settled in at our new place. Stress took over as we hadn't even unpacked, and suddenly we were bringing this new baby home. He was incredibly distant after that, not very helpful with the baby, and very prone to hitting walls and acting looming threatening whenever I'd upset him. So he was asked to go train for a promotion for a month. I saw it as a good opportunity for us to take time apart and distress. He went a state over to train. Since our base was too small to hold such a program, and I stayed home and started learning how to sew and crochet. He was active in talking to me and checking on the baby the first week, then dead silence. After 3 days of dead silence, I grew concerned. I went on Facebook and saw he had removed and blocked me. Went to call him and his number said it wasn't in service. Desperately emailed him asking if he was okay. Nothing. I was beginning to really panic. I had this new colicky baby and my husband was very clearly avoiding me. I finally got in contact with his sister, who was still friends with him on FB, and confirmed that he was posting regularly, and those posts were pictures of him at different clubs, bars, and hotels all across the state he was in with a group of people. The group was 3 men, including him, and 3 women. In every picture each woman would be with the same man, and the woman with her arm around my husband was constantly with her arms or hands on him in nearly every one, including a video of them dancing. My gut feeling was that there was clearly something there. I checked our bank statements and he was spending way more money than he should have been on dinners, drinks, and hotel rooms. I quickly moved money into my own account and immediately applied for WIC and EBT because something told me that it would be a good idea just in case. Finally, I gave up on trying to reach him. I took the baby on a mini vacation to the beach, where I just sat in the sand with her and watched the waves. It was there that I made the decision to confront him and leave if what I knew was true. 2 weeks after the beach, he came home. He was aloof and told me that he was forced to cease communication because of how rigorous the training was. I told him that his sister showed me pictures of him going out and partying quite often. He aggressively asked me not to bring his family into our problems, and then took a bunch of picture frames off the walls and smashed them. Later that night, I looked at his phone. The girl in the pictures and him texted often, and nearly all of the texts were him trying to convince her to go away with him, and that he never felt the kind of way with anyone that he felt with her. After the next couple of days, he kept disappearing to, I assume, talk to her on the phone. I'd hear him talk to her in secret when he'd go on the porch to unwind. I finally confronted him about the texts, and he told me that she was just a close friend, and they have plenty of inside jokes that I didn't need to worry about. I asked him to stop talking to her because it was hurting me. He said he wouldn't because she was just a friend. I asked if he'd slept with her. He denied it and said he never even hugged her once. I finally took a good long look at myself and my baby girl and felt in my heart that he was definitely emotionally cheating, and almost positively physically cheating. so I left. He was so aggressive when I left that I had to pursue a restraining order and file an emergency order to keep him from the child until he received anger management and health services. Finally, we figured out a healthy visitation schedule, and I eventually found someone new, and now I'm engaged after 2 years and in an honest, healthy relationship. However, my ex remained bitter and angry that I never gave therapy a chance and maintains to this day that he never once cheated on me emotionally or physically. It haunts me because I've told my family and friends, as well as mutual friends and my current fiance, that I left because he cheated. He always felt like I dragged his character and maintained that he never cheated for years. So here's my big question. Given the information above, was I correct in my assumption here? Before him, I'd never experienced infidelity. I don't know what the patterns look like, but if there's some chance that he didn't, I would like to maybe help our co-parenting relationship by offering an apology for jumping the gun with assumptions. If there's a good chance that he absolutely did, I won't waste my time. But I don't know. It's been bothering me so much lately. Story 2. My male 43 wife, female 40 of 9 years, has gotten into an emotional affair with the husband, M47, of our close friends. Our friends are a couple, M47, F45, that have become close over the past 5 years. We both have daughters of the same age, 7, who are best friends. We hang out almost every week. We all have fun hanging out together. He is a fun guy, outgoing, charismatic. My wife and both our friends are big drinkers, more so than me, although I can hold my own. These interactions between him and my wife started off as playful, but has taken on this dimension in the past couple months that have started to really bother me. The innocent flirting has crossed the line with a lot of sexual innuendos and physical touching. It really started around her birthday a couple months ago. He, being an outgoing guy, said we should go out for her birthday, his treat. That is normal, but later that night, and I don't think she realized I could hear, she said to him, "So I hear you want to take me on a date," in a suggestive tone. I was taken back and didn't really do anything, almost wanting to see if this continued. Then another time a couple weeks ago, my wife got her hair cut and colored, and when we were all hanging out, I happened to see her making eyes with him, curling her hair in a very suggestive way. When she saw me looking at her, her expression changed to one of I thought that she might have gotten the message that I did not like this, but it has continued. The other night she was putting on lipstick on in a suggestive way in front of him. Then a little later extended her chest in front of him, and he made an offhand comment clearly in reference/compliment to her breasts. Then a short while later she gave him a hug while jumping up and down, rubber her breasts on him. This right in front of me too. My wife and I have had a pretty good relationship, or so that was my impression. I don't think anything more is going on, at least at this point. I had a trust in her, although this has severely damaged it. We are intimate, but since I have noticed this I have lost interest, and find myself becoming toxic towards her. We were able to get away from the kids for a few days over the summer before this issue started, which was great. When we got back, she bragged about how much sex we had on the trip to our friends, which now seems inappropriate. I also realize she has a drinking problem, not getting full-on drunk every day but drinking every day, and it is clear she is physically dependent. I know I have to talk to her about both of these things, but I am trying to find a productive way to do it. I care about her, and she is the mother of our 2 young children. I am finding it difficult to not just be toxic with anger and resentment, and don't want to just blow up on her. Update. I sat down with her, and we talked this. I told her that what was going on between the two of them needs to stop. At first, she was defensive and said there was nothing in it, but after going through the details, she apologized and said that she had been feeling lonely and was doing it part to get my attention. She said she would stop and that she does not find him that attractive, which I believe he is not all that physically attractive. It was to get me to pay more attention to her. That I spent very little time with her and seemed emotional, unavailable lately, which she had brought up before and I acknowledged. Due to various things I know, I have been closing myself in, feeling depressed and stuck. She is a great mother and wife. I know, hard to believe if you only know from the original post. I know she would not cheat physically unless things went totally to him, because she knows she would lose me and the family. I am close to her parents too, and they would not tolerate that behavior. We spoke about boundaries and about making more time for each other. I know the past year 1.5 have been challenging for all of us. Relationships are two-way streets too. Thank you all for your help.